We really need to elect a strong leader who will address tough issues like oil without politicizing it. Unfortunately, I don't see one. And Donald writes from Denver, Pennsylvania, pathetic. Did you see that sword dance? George Bush looked like Danny Kaye on Geritol. It seemed more like a family reunion than a meeting of heads of state. Wolf?
Thank you very much, Jack. And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room. Happening now, tear gas and bullets. Police cracking down on opposition protesters in Kenya. Our Zane Verjee is caught right in the middle of one very frightening confrontation. We're going to show you what happened. In the end, he made it look easy. Now, fresh from his badly needed victory in Michigan, Republican Mitt Romney is looking ahead to his next challenge, my one-on-one interview with the Michigan winner. That's coming up. And it was a long, bloody war which went terribly wrong for the U.S. military. Now, chilling new information shows how enemy intelligence actually tricked U.S. forces into firing on other American troops. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. A day after the Michigan primary and Mitt Romney's big win, candidates from both parties are looking ahead to their next contest. Following 3 races with 3 different winners, Republicans are focusing in on South Carolina right now, where Saturday's primary is up for grabs. John McCain and Mike Huckabee are vowing to bounce back, but Fred Thompson says it's his turn now, and Romney does have momentum. Democrats in a race that's also up for grabs are focusing their attention right now on Nevada, where unions and the Hispanic vote will factor heavily in Saturday's caucuses. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are still seen as the leaders there, with John Edwards, though, close behind. A lot more on these political stories coming up, including my interview with Mitt Romney. Other news, though, that we're following right now. A former United States congressman and delegate to the United Nations was indicted today, accused of being connected to a terrorist fundraising ring. Let's go straight to our justice correspondent, Kelly Arena. She's standing by with details. Really a shocking story, Kelly. Update our viewers what we know.
Well, if according to the government's indictment, the Islamic American Relief Agency
scientists from all over the world. I had one day to search the entire island for 2 young harpy eagles. Lucky for me, Janine Touchton was on hand.
Confirmed that there were these letters?
They won't confirm it, and they're carefully wording this whole thing, saying that they have not received any letters from Christina Lorian that was sent to her from her husband. And he will not comment about perhaps what kind of communications they have obtained through their own investigation. So I think what they're saying is that Christina Lorian didn't actually give them any communication, any letters, but if they did find these things, they found them either through the mail or through some other source from where the letters were sent.
Gotcha. So Don Clark, I want to bring you in at this point. Dissect that sheriff speak for us. If you could, were you able to hear Rusty?
I'm sorry, Erica, say again, please.
If you were able to hear Rusty, can you sort of dissect that sheriff's speech there when they're talking about these letters that may or may not have been sent by Corporal Lauren to his wife, Christina?
Absolutely, Erica. You know, when I talked to the FBI a little bit earlier today, and the FBI confirmed that, yes, there were letters that were sent from Houston. And, of course, they, too, would not say exactly where these letters were sent to. But you got to suspect here, if the letters were sent, they were probably sent to a known person from the Marine Corporal. So who would he probably send them to? Perhaps his wife, or certainly somebody that he knew very closely, and one would suspect that he probably sent them to his wife.
It doesn't seem like the smartest move. I mean, you're a guy on the run, you're a suspect in a nationwide manhunt. Why would you send a letter to anybody?
Well, you know, Erica, let's take a look at this guy, and I'm sure the profilers can have a little bit of fun with him. I don't look at this guy as being someone who is a career criminal and really started to look at these aspects and really develop them and figure out what to do. I think this guy is just acting on impulse. It's what he thinks he needs to do out there and where he needs to go. And that's what the majority of the criminals do. And, Erica, we said it before. Who do they go back to? They usually go back to the people that they know the best, that are closest to them, that they think they can get some help or some concealment from.
Don, did your sources at the FBI tell you about how many letters there may be?
No, they didn't tell me how many letters that they were, but they did use the term letters, so that
plural.
would conclude that more than one
We're getting
sent.
a little tight on time, but want to make sure we cover this. Don, if he actually has fled to Mexico, what happens in terms of extradition between Mexico and the U.S.?
Well, that's an easy investigative transition because the FBI has a large legal attaché unit in Mexico, and what they do is they work with the Mexican authorities to try and solve some of these crimes. Now, the reality is, too, is sometimes it has to deal with the cooperation that they may be able to get from the local police, and I have to tell you, Erica, that's not always an easy chore to do, is to be able to get full cooperation from some of the local authorities in Mexico. So it's not necessarily just an easy task, but the tools are in place for the organization to go through the system and try to get the Mexican people to look for them.
All right, so at least it is doable. Don Clark, Rusty Dornan, thank you both.
Thank you, Erica.
At some point today, maybe O.J. Simpson might have been thinking, I do not want to make this woman angry. He was back in court and jailed today for violating his bail by attempting to contact one of his co-defendants. And he got what you could easily call a verbal spanking from no-nonsense judge Jackie Glass.
And I don't know, Mr. Simpson, what the heck you were thinking, or maybe that's just the problem. You weren't. And I know that Judge Bonaventure, when he told you, because I have the transcript right here, no contact, direct, no indirect. If you see them, avoid it. He even talked about carrier pigeons. I think Judge Bonaventure made himself very clear.
Judge Glass making herself pretty clear, too. She then doubled Simpson's bail to $250,000 and demanded he stay locked up until 15% of that is paid. Ted Rollins is at the courthouse. He's been following that for us from there today. Attorney Ivan Golde will be joining us from San Francisco. They've both been closely watching this latest chapter here. Ted, I want to start with you in terms of what happened today. It's interesting the fact that the judge said you have to stay in jail until 15% of your bail is paid because he still has an outstanding balance, right, Ted?
Well, yeah, what happened, to give it some context, the first time around, O.J. Simpson didn't put up any money, and the judge thought that was ridiculous and really against the spirit of the bond. So she demanded that not only he put up his house as collateral, but come up with the about $40,000 before she's going to let him out of the Clark County Detention Center. He's still there now. Most likely will not be able to get out today because of the paperwork. In the best case scenario, it takes 4 to 5 hours to get out of jail on bail. Today, you know, they brought him in. He's already spent 5 days in jail, and they brought him in today with his prison garb, and you heard the judge. O.J. Simpson listened to that and took it all in and seemed to be apologetic. He answered the questions when asked, but boy, nobody on that side of the room was saying much with Judge Glass had the floor, and I think they're very pleased to get out of there, at least having some sort of bail. She doubled it, but he won't have to sit in jail until the trial, which is April 7th. But
part of the reason that outstanding balance, though, too, may have actually, in some way, Ted, be what brought him back here. Back to jail, I mean.
Yeah, well, what brought him back was the clear violation of the agreements of bail, and then his bail bondsman basically dumping him as a client. So under Nevada law, he was able to go and get him himself, the bail bondsman, and bring him back to court. Now, the judge brought him back and was angry, not necessarily because of the agreement between the bail bondsman and Simpson, but more so because he clearly violated the agreement. He wasn't supposed to try to contact any witnesses, which he did on this, and was caught on this audio tape of a voice message through a third party. So a lot of different things that got O.J. in trouble this time, got him back in front of the judge, and I would bet that he would behave himself from here on out until this trial starts.
I know I would if Judge Glass was talking to me. Ivan, want to bring you in on this today because the judge really did lay into O.J. Let's listen real quickly to another little bit from court, then I want to get your reaction to it.
Okay.
You're not to leave the United States. Don't get on a boat and go anywhere. Don't have any trips. You stay on dry land. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you're going to stay here, no phone calls, no contact, nothing. There's no reason for you to contact the bail bondsman that just testified. You don't need to have any contact with him anymore. We're done with him. Just go back to Florida after your bail is posted and come back here April 7th for your trial. Understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is she making this a little too personal, Ivan?
No, she's treating O.J. Simpson like a little kid. O.J. Simpson deserves this. The judge is scolding him. However, O.J. Simpson is extremely lucky the bail was raised only to $250,000. The judge could have made this $1 million. I've had cases where defendants went against bail orders and the judge was extremely punitive. The real problem with this is everyone in the country got to see O.J. Simpson humiliated in a jumpsuit, obviously being in custody, and in court, and being scolded in court. The public sees this. The public sees that he is disobeying court orders, that he takes the law into his own hands. This is a man who very well may have been capable of sending people up to that hotel with himself to retrieve his items. This is what hurts O.J. Simpson. It's humiliating. It makes him look like a guy who won't play by the rules.
So then, Ivan, are you saying that this sideshow, which is really what it's been for the last few days, could actually affect his trial come April?
I think it will. It will come in as evidence, and it will show that O.J. Simpson does not play by the rules. He does what he wants, when he feels like it, when it's appropriate. He knew not to contact that co-defendant. He did it anyway. He couldn't control himself. This is a man, again, who takes the law into his own hands. I think it will hurt him at trial, and I think this court hearing today on television with O.J. in a jumpsuit being scolded by the judge will have negative ramifications. He looks like a guy who just can't play by the rules.
But now he's going to have to because the judge has put him back in jail, said, look, you're not leaving until you pay, by our math, about $37 grand. Which, if he had that money, wouldn't it already be going to the Goldmans as part of his settlement anyway? So could he end up staying in jail for a while?
O.J. will raise the bail. Trust me, he will get out of custody one way or another. He will have friends. He will be able to get the money to bail out. He's lucky. It's a cash bail. That's not the problem as I see it. As I see it, again, he's scolded in front of the American public. How can he be so stupid as to contact one of the co-defendants and express his frustration? It's as if he doesn't think anybody's watching. He thinks he can get away with it. That's O.J. Simpson's problem. He's gotten away with a lot throughout his life. He thinks he can continue to get away with things, and this judge said no more. And I hope for O.J. Simpson's own good, he can play by the rules from now on.
Everyone will be watching. Ivan Golde in San Francisco and Ted Rollins, thank you both.
Thank you.
Two men